It's a smog mask, carrying a few cubic feet of pure salubrious air for its wearer to breathe, complete with a candle-powered defroster. A bit cumbersome, murmur the skeptical, but some people persist in trying to do something about the weather. If you can't change it, shut it out, which is the general idea.
Well, part space helmet, part fishbowl, but let's face it, completely silly. You're looking at a very bizarre way Londoners came up with to try and avoid breathing in bad air back in the 1950s. Nowadays, we still haven't got much better at actually fixing the problem. While we've always known it was bad, right now, we're just finding out that it could be much worse than we even thought. A new study finding that breathing in a toxic cloud of air stuffed full of pollution may actually be making us less intelligent, sending people's verbal and math test scores crashing down in a big way. What's the kind of news that makes you want to take a deep breath? Well, maybe not. Let's bring in CNN meteorologist Chad Myers to break it all down for us. Pretty scary findings in this report, Chad.
You know, we know that pollution creates less life expectancy, asthma, children, but now it appears it's making us dumber. We're not getting the cognition that we should be, especially later on in life, because you've been breathing this bad air now for 70 years old. Well, guess how old most of the leaders are across the world? And they've been breathing this bad air for a long time. So now all of a sudden, this from the proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences saying, hey, if you're breathing this is affecting your cognition verbally more than math. You had the math question up there. That's 30.
It threw me. I'm
that's
like,
35. Oh, that's not a put a hard one in there. But it's the verbal consequences, and we never really put this together. But who gets Alzheimer's and who gets dementia? The older people, right? On average, my mother has it. She didn't pick it up until her 80s. She's been breathing bad air. She was in a coal mine area in Pennsylvania for a long time in her life. And so could we be putting A and B together and getting C?
Wow, that is quite incredible. This study, of course, was done in China. So how does it really impact the rest of the world? What's the pollution in the rest of the world? How does it impact us?
I have a graphic, and I want to be able to show it, because what the people are dealing with in China is nothing like the rest of the world. Truly, it's something that we don't even understand in America or Europe or whatever. Let me show you this graphic that I have up here. This is the entire world. It's a little bit difficult to see, but the Americas cities are in green, Europe in green, and all of a sudden you get into Asia and Southeast Asia. We're no longer green. We are red. We are unhealthy air. This is a live sample of what the air quality looks like right now, 20 minutes ago when I made the graphic. At 296 I see on there. A healthy number is 50. So you need to be green to even have good air quality. 296 is almost 6 times greater than what you should have. There's a zoomed in picture of that map. You can see those bad numbers in red. Now we shift to Europe. This was 20 minutes ago in Europe. In pretty good shape. Numbers are in the 30s and 40s. The air quality not so bad. There are a few that are exceeding the 50 limit. But in fact, most of Southeast Asia, a lot of India, breathing air day in and day out that is unhealthy forever. A long time. It doesn't clear out in the summertime like it should. This is even worse sometimes in the wintertime when you get numbers in the 600 range, 12 times greater than healthy.
Yeah, absolutely horrific. We know, of course, that the World Health Organization reckons that about 9 out of 10 people on this planet are breathing in dangerous air every minute of every single day. And it shows when you look at the WHO that they say that it kills about 7 million people a year. As you mentioned earlier, it causes asthma, lung cancer, heart disease, stroke. What can we all do to avoid this besides trying to tackle the problem at its core?
Well, there are scrubbers that can go into industrial units that can scrub out this. Here's what we're talking about. We're not talking about carbon dioxide or methane. We're not talking about global warming. This is completely different. This is sulfur dioxide. This is nitrogen dioxide. And these are particles that are in the air. And if you've ever driven behind a diesel truck, and what happens when that diesel truck accelerates? The black smoke comes flying out of that. Those are the particles we need to eliminate from what we're breathing on a daily basis. Now, many of those are very large and they fall and they settle. It's the 2.5 or smaller that gets stuck in your lungs. And, you know, we don't know yet. This is just a brand new study. And they said, we don't know why. We don't know whether this is brain chemistry. We don't know whether this is cognition created by a change in the chemistry of the brain, or the brain possibly changing altogether because it's not breathing in the chemicals that it wants to. You want oxygen, nitrogen. You don't want sulfur dioxide. You don't want, the acids that are building up in the atmosphere. So this study didn't go any farther than what it's saying right now is that, yep, we found it. We looked at it, and we've done a very scientific study of this, and we know that this is happening. You are losing cognition in your later lives, especially men. Men lose it more than women, ironically, and they lose more verbal than they lose math. But we know what's happening. We know the cumulative effect is staggering, and we also know that it could be economic in nature.
Pretty scary.
If you can't,
pretty scary stuff.
If you can't make the cognition, you can't make good economics, and maybe you don't have a good country.
Yeah.
So it's all there.
Certainly not good in Asia. Chad Myers, great to get all that breakdown. Thanks so much.
You're welcome.
Well, live from Atlanta, this is Connect the World. Still to come, how does the Middle East really feel about Donald Trump? We hear from everyday people who have mixed reviews when it comes to the US president.